Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Excellent. My name is Jarett Wieselman. I'm the editorial director for ETonline. Very, very, very excited to be here to talk about the film you just saw with the two stars of the film. So let's bring them out right away, Shailene Woodley and Miles Teller.
Very nice.
Well, it's a very nice film. It is worthy of applause.
Thank you.
First things first, and I'm going to start with you, Miles, since Shailene put you in the closer
seat to
yes.
you?
She knew what she was doing. Take us back. How did this script come to you, and what was your first impression of it?
I first read the script probably 2.5 years ago, and I just thought it was one of the best scripts that I'd ever read. At that time, I was younger than, obviously, we filmed this a year ago. By the time it got back around to me, I was like, I'm kind of old to be playing high school, but it wasn't something I was looking to do. I think you and your agent have a talk. You're like, I don't want to do high school anymore. Now I'm, developed. I want to go get those young leading man parts. And so I read it and I liked it a lot. And I got an audition for it. And the first audition, I completely bombed. And it happens. It happens. I don't usually bomb very many auditions. I love auditioning actually because it gives you a chance to act. And so the first one was really bad, and I called my agent. I said, I really need to get another one. I said, I know this character, I know this part. And then I did another one, and Lee Toland Krieger was directing at the time. He did Celeste and Jesse forever. And so I did another one. They said, well, that was a little better, but it's still not going to go anywhere. I was like, I know, I didn't really feel it on that one either. It wasn't the best. And then Thomas McDonald became attached to it, and I don't know when Shailene got attached, she'll tell you, I guess. And then, like a year later, it came back around, and James Ponsoldt was the director. And I guess they had been auditioning a bunch of guys. I didn't know about that. I knew that they liked Nicholas Hoult. All I kept hearing was that Nicholas Holt's got it. And I was like, well, let me get in that conversation. So, and then I met James literally for, he's like, hey, do you want to meet at a bar? I said, perfect. So we went to a bar and had a couple of beers and like appetizers and stuff. And at the end of it, because you have to get them, say the best thing on the menu all the time.
Agreed, yeah. 100%.
What's up? And so, and then after that, James and I met for drinks. He was just like, I think that you're the guy for this part, and I can't directly offer it to you now. He's like, but you're the guy that I want, and I'm going to talk to the producers and see if we can make this happen. And then I Skyped a producer from my bedroom at my parents' house in Florida, because that's where I was going. And there's a big poster of me, because my mom is in love. She loves me. So there's a giant poster of me, and he just thought I was this complete narcissist and stuff. I'm at my mom's house, and that was all endearing to him, I guess. And then I met Shay, and a week later we were filming.
Just a quick clarification. The poster of you, is it of a film or is it like from
No,
Sears?
I was down in Sears. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think you can buy any of my posters at Sears. But no, it was from like the Savannah Film Festival gave me an award, and it was, my dad took it from the movie theater. It's like a big, right? So
Amazing.
There you go.
Shailene, what about you? I mean, this was a very beloved book before it became a film. Were you familiar with the book, or was your first exposure to it also through the screenplay?
Yeah, no, I wasn't familiar with the book at all. I had a very similar story to Miles. I auditioned, and it went awful. It was not good at all. And that was kind of the end of that. And so I begged to audition again, and I did. And it was a little better, but it was still not good. And at that point, this was when Lee Toland Krieger was attached, and another actress, and Thomas. So many different people were attached to this movie at so many different times. But it was something that I was so passionate about, because you don't really find coming-of-age scripts that are so authentic and sort of grounded in truth. So I kept fighting for it, even though I knew somebody else was attached. And then eventually they fell out, and then Lee Krieger fell out, and it sort of seemed like the movie was never going to get made. And then they brought James Ponsoldt on, and I sat down with him and kind of similar story to Miles. We just got to know one another, and he was like, "Wow, I think you would be great for this role." And I was like, it would be an honor to be this role.
At one point, Shay called me. She's like, "I'm dropping out." Or I don't know if she said that, but I was like, "I heard Shailene dropped out." I was like, "What?" And she called me. She's like, "Hey, dude, like they want to do all this stuff to the script. It's not going to be our story. It's not going to be as honest and grounded stuff." I was like, "Well, I just got this movie, so if you could please rethink that." I remember talking to you on the side of the road in Burbank, just being like, "Please, we'll figure this out."
I mean, the movie, in addition to your performances, kind of lives and dies on the chemistry the two of you share. I mean, it's very rare you see two people have the kind of connection the two of you have in this film. Miles, what was your first impression of Shailene?
Yeah, I mean, Shay, so we met at a diner, and James was sitting there, and Shailene was sitting there, and Shay's just, she's sitting there with like her mason jar full of like water, which I later found out was she had hiked, to go get that water. And I said, "Well, how much can you bring back usually?" And she's like, 10 gallons, right? Or, you can hike back with 30 gallons in one trip?
No, you go back and forth.
Oh, right, yeah. Duh. So it's kind of like this, where I literally just got back from Vegas. And so I'm telling these stories, and I guess Shay was just sitting there, like listening, and we talked a little, during the dinner. It was kind of like a discourse between all of us and James. And then, really, I left the diner, and Shailene was standing there, and we talked under a tree for like an hour, and she told me about GMOs, which I didn't know what they were. I still kind of know. But I was just calling my mom. I was like, "Corn's bad." But I didn't really know why. And yeah, Shailene and I are very different, but at the core, I think we're both very like playful spirits. And, she has a brother and I have two sisters, and we just kind of, Shay would be taking her herbal supplements, which I thought smelled like crap. And I was like, "Please don't take those before we kiss." She's like, "I just saw you eat a honey bun, so." And it was that kind of just back and forth to where.
Did you guys spend a lot of time with each other prior to filming? I mean, you obviously didn't know each other before. I mean, what do you think, Shailene, was the key to the chemistry you guys generated for this film?
We didn't really have time to spend much time together before filming. We just naturally have a very comfortable relationship. We're very comfortable with each other, and I think as actors, we both sort of function the same, or at least our approach to acting is the same, where we don't really get into character or spend too much time thinking about all of that. We just learn our lines and show up and just see what happens. And so that was kind of fun to be able to play like that, because it's very rare that two people are sort of aligned or have the same idea when they get to the film or to the set in the morning. So that was really nice. And our relationship has gotten better and better as we've gotten to know each other more and more.
The film was shot in 25 days, right?
25 days?
24 or 25. What does it say on your note card?
It says 25
25?
days.
There's probably 25. I know it wasn't long.
The reason I ask is because there is an incredible organic feel to almost every single scene in this film, as if it was improvised and just captured like documentary style. Was there a rehearsal process prior to filming, or like you said, there just wasn't time, you kind of just jumped in?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for pretty much everything you see, usually it's like, I would say we got 3 takes, something like that. Jess Hall is the DP on it. He was just invited into the academy, and he's really special in the way they shot it. Obviously, that gives you kind of this immersive feel. There wasn't a whole lot of, just set camera shots on tripods. Everything kind of moved and flowed with us. And then, yeah, Shailene and I just worked well together to where whatever. I remember that one scene particularly where we walk across the football field. It's like during prom. That's a pretty long shot. That's a pretty long scene. And, we just had a couple takes of that. And it's hard to get. That's why the film's flawed. And I think that's what's nice, because you're never going to get a perfect shot when you're doing a 6-minute take. Like at the end of that walk and talk when we're at the beach or the kegger and the camera at the end tilts up, it's because the guy's falling over. Because seriously, the camera, it's filmed, so that's heavier, and it's steady cam, and he's walking backwards for like 6 minutes. So he said the rig was maybe about 90 pounds. So by the end of every time he was falling over, and we did one take, flash thunderstorm, did like 2 more takes, but we didn't think any of them were usable when we did it.
Shailene, I had read that you had very specific ideas of who Aimee was as a person and how who she was in the book is not who you thought you wanted her to be in the film or something to that effect. Can you talk a little bit about sort of what was important to you in building out the character of Aimee?
Yeah, I mean, sort of the way she was written could have been perceived as her being a nerd or sort of a stereotypical wallflower misfit. And I've never met a nerd in my life or a misfit in my life. People, they're just so multidimensional that those words make no sense to me. And so when I sat down with James, I was like, I think Aimee isn't someone who doesn't have friends because they don't want to befriend her. She chooses not to befriend them because she's smarter than them or doesn't feel like she can relate to anyone in high school. She sort of has this old soul vibe to her while still being very naive and innocent, which is why when his character comes along, it's very exciting. It's not because he shows interest in her necessarily. It's that she's admires him so much and admires his confidence and his strength and how funny he is, and the fact that someone like him sees the beauty in her that she recognizes in herself, gives her confidence in a sense. And so I just really wanted to make sure that she seemed relatable and real, because there's parts of her that I was in high school, and there's parts of her that I saw in other girls in high school, and I think it's very rare that you do get to see a young woman portrayed as a smart, strong individual who is also insecure and lacks confidence, but still at the core knows a little bit of who she is. And then to watch her lose herself is far more interesting than her being lost from the beginning and then sort of having nowhere to go.
Miles, what about you?
I just showed up. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, Sutter is a really tough character. He's somebody who you have to like despite the self-sabotaging and what he does to Aimee in a lot of ways. And he's often drunk, but you're not falling down. I mean,
Yeah.
what was the most difficult part for you about playing Sutter?
Well, I mean, obviously the drunk was something that I took pretty seriously. Like I spent a lot of money on acting school, so if I couldn't play drunk, then I overpaid is kind of what I'm saying. So I severely overpaid. So that was something, and James kind of gave me some stuff that, Mary Elizabeth Winstead used on Smashed, and I looked at that, and then, it's all relaxation, so that's kind of, what I was doing with that. And then, I was nervous to play this part. I felt like, if I did it right, it'd be very fulfilling, and, if I didn't, then it would be, pretty lackluster, But yeah, you're right. He's a charmer. That's kind of how he charms his teacher, and he skates by. And then I love it when life really just, hits him. And I was talking to this one parent, and she said, don't you think this makes drinking look, really cool? I said, I don't think so. I think by the end of this movie, he doesn't really have anything going on. I remember doing that scene when I open up my diploma and there's nothing there. It's like in the script, I don't graduate high school, but just to sit there and just, as a person, realize that you didn't graduate high school. Like, who knows if you will graduate, just your ceiling is, Obviously, there's exceptions. Not everybody needs school, but I just remember that scene, particularly looking down and seeing a blank thing. I just got really sad for this, for this kid.
Do you feel that the the quick filming process helped you get in these characters' mindsets easier? Or for example, you both you worked on Divergent also, which is a lot of hurry up and wait, I would imagine, compared to something like this. I mean, can you contrast the two? As an actor, is one more enjoyable?
Yes. They're both incredible for different reasons, but when you're doing a film like Spectacular Now and you only have a few hours to get one scene, there's also no fluff scenes in this movie. There's no scenes where you're just walking down a hallway for 2 days straight to get all the different angles. Every single scene has a purpose and a meaning and feels like you're able to creatively express. And so as an actor, that feels really nice when you can come to work and when you have to show up and you have to, well, obviously show up, but you have to show up and energetically be there. Otherwise, it doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah, Realist, so Divergent is, I think that was like an 80-day shoot. Was it 80 days or over 70? Feel like if the script's 100 page, you're basically shooting a page a day. So as an actor, I remember I'd be on set for, a whole day, 12 hours just for like a reaction.
But you nailed that reaction.
Every time. But you still do it 50 times. So, I mean, obviously, it's all story. I think if this story is really engaging, then, you can find something in there. But, yeah, it's hard. I think as an actor, you want to work, especially, I came up through theater, and it's like you put it up. Theater is all about, like, the rehearsal process, man. Once the show's up and running, it's pretty good. Then it's just fun. But I love, kind of working it out. And in these indies, you're just, hopefully you have a director where you can talk about the scene. And Shailene and Jay, we'd do a take and be like, it's not working. What's not working about it? This kind of thing right here. Okay, get rid of it.
I mean, what is each of your process as an actor? Do you use music? Do you sort of just find the character? Do you stay in character throughout the entirety of the shoot?
He does.
I'll get out of
drunk
here. When I first filmed this
single
movie,
day.
I was like, I am this kid. I know this kid. And then I watch it, and I'm really just like, it's so interesting looking back on it now, because at the time I was filming, it's like, oh man, I know this kid like back of my hand. And obviously I do know it, but I realized that I'm not as much like him, maybe as I thought. But I mean, I don't know. I think number one rule as an actor is everything you say, you should believe. So if I don't believe what I'm saying, nobody else is. So really it's for every single thing in there. What does that do to me internally when I say it? If that is true, everything that I'm talking about, I should have some history for it. So really, it's just kind of creating a life, inside. I think you build a character from the inside out, But for me, it just comes down to, like honesty is first and foremost, and then be interesting while you're doing it.
Shailene?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what he said. You said something a few months ago where you were like, I have a really good bullshit meter. And I thought that was a really, like, kind of the perfect way of saying it. If something's not honest or if it's not truthful, then you're acting. And if something is honest and it's truthful, then you're just being. And that was one of the nicest things about working with Miles is he never came to set and was acting. He was just existing, which was really fun to play with and if something on the page wasn't working, then we would change it because neither of us really, we're both really not good actors.
Acting is hard. I read some Johnny Depp say, he's like, you do takes, you feel it. He's like, and then you have to do 20 takes where you don't feel it, and that's called acting. Yeah. And that's hard. That's where you got to have that's where you just got to have a bag of tricks that you can pull out. Because I think we're both very impulsive. I think we both have good instincts. But once those run out, you got to do something else that's like camera worthy. I don't know.
That's hard.
Doesn't Shay look so pretty with her short hair? Everybody wanted to say it. They just...
Well, working off that, Miles, let me ask you this.
Whoa.
Oh. Sorry, we gotta go, apparently.
Is that what that means? Is that...
They're letting us know. They didn't like that question. No, but working off that, Miles, what is the best piece of acting advice you've ever received?
I wish it was like a little fortune cookie kind of thing, or something like a nutshell that I could give. I remember doing Rabbit Hole with Nicole Kidman, Aaron Eckhart, and Diane Weiss, fantastic actors. And I remember standing there and we're about to do this scene, and Nicole was just behind me going, "Nyong, nyong." I was like, oh shit, I know that sound. I'm from theater. She's like phonating, and she's just trying to hear, and doing that stuff. And I was like, all right, now I feel like I'm also, that we kind of have come from a similar, background kind of thing. But I just remember her, we did our first scene. She was very complimentary. Oh, Miles, great. I'll see you tomorrow. I said, oh, awesome. And then I saw her tomorrow. I was like, hey, Nicole. And she just looks at me and turned to walk away. I was like, holy shit. I'd have never been on a set before. Can you not talk to the actors? I don't know what I just did. And I realized that Nicole, while, very gracious and all this stuff, when she was on that set, especially for that material, she was just there to work. And I think that when I was first getting on sets, I wanted to make friends and everyone to like me kind of thing. And sometimes the material serves that. And other times you just have to do just whatever you need to do those scenes, do that. And everyone respects that. And I think sets, they kind of build off Obviously the first AD's barking at people, but performances and stuff. I really think those kind of like feed into it. And if you take, especially if you're a young actor and you take your craft very seriously, I think it sets a nice message. But
What about you, Shailene?
On the set of The Descendants, Alexander came up to me after one scene and he was like, "You're not being you, be Shay." And he walked away. And I was like, "Oh, God, thank you. I know exactly what you mean." So I started acting. I started like being a character instead of just truthfully reacting to whatever someone was saying to me.
Let me ask this about the film. It ends on a it ends on a real ambiguous note.
the book is way darker.
The book is super dark, if
If
none of
anybody
you
reads that.
have
It's
read
him like cutting his finger with a beer bottle cap, and he's like, "I drift off into my own spectacular now." It's just him buzzed, like walking down the street. There's no even like slightly happy ending to the book. The book's great though. Tim Tharp.
What do you guys think happens in the movie version of Spectacular Now after it fades to black?
I guess you want to hear both sides, so we both have different.
Yeah.
I think. I think he gets a lunch. I think that at the end of that, literally, man, I think he's like, "Can we just go, get a bite to eat or something?" I think they go, and I think it's, kind of awkward, honestly, and yeah, I don't think that she takes him back. I have some personal experience with that, but I think But I think, not that I wanted her back. Can we just talk for a second, guys? But I think he gets a lunch because he's a very charming guy. And then even if he were to get her back, I don't know if he would know, what to do with her at that point. But I do think he's certainly, he takes things a little more, seriously. I think he realizes the effects of some of his actions and what he can do to people, for sure.
What about you, Shailene?
I don't know whether they get back together or not, but I think that I feel like I can't decide on it, but I think that the smart decision would be for her not to get back together with him, because not only was she lost so much of herself, and also speaking from personal experience at that age, it's so important to get to know who you are before you can be in a relationship with someone else. And sort of getting to that low that she got to with alcohol and with giving herself away and with sacrificing her own integrity to make someone else happy. I mean, really, she was existing for him, not for herself. And he was sort of existing for everyone else and not for himself, even though he thought he was.
That's a nugget right there. That was great.
I mean, it's true.
No, it is. That's very true.
But I hope that they would both take some time to get to know each other. And I mean, they're not right. They're in high school, right?
Absolutely.
They're in high school.
Whether it's heavy material or a character you play for a long time, like on Secret Life, do you find yourself having difficulty of letting go of characters once a movie has wrapped or a television show has wrapped?
No, I don't. Just simply because I feel like I never really change anything about. I mean, sort of when I'm playing one character versus the. My biggest fear is that I play the same character in every movie, and I never realize that I don't do that until I see the film, because I'm always just being me, and a different shade, I suppose, of who Shay is. So it doesn't feel like I get to lose them. It's nice though to leave and wear the clothes that you feel comfortable again in, and sort of be the age that you are again. I don't know if you can see, just I'm wearing toe shoes, those finger things. Threw my foot in the air.
What about you, Miles? I mean, whether it's something like Rabbit Hole, which is not a light character, do you have trouble saying goodbye?
I think you miss. When I finished Spectacular Now, that was something that I missed, just because I think you associate so much, with the film. I associate, hanging out with Shay and the relationship we were able to build, on camera and off camera, and working with James. There's some characters you do, like I just did a film, it was a really intense 20-day shoot. It's called Whiplash, straight drama. By the time I was done with that, I was like, oh my God, thank you. I don't have to be covered in sweat and blood and have my fingers taped up, and I don't have somebody yelling at me fucking every day in the scenes. Not the like director or anything, but I think there's certain ones you're happy when they're done. There's like Footloose, man. That was like my first real, true kind of, supporting character, or big part. My first studio film, and that was everybody's first. It was Julianne's and Kenny's, and that was like summer camp. So I still think back and fondly at all that stuff. It's great. I mean, yeah, I haven't really had a bad experience yet, which I feel like is coming. Because you don't get all good ones. There's no way your track record's that clean unless you just get picked up by Scorsese or something, and then you're like his guy.
When did you know you wanted to be an actor, Miles?
I would say I really started getting into it my senior year of college, or senior of high school. But end of my sophomore year, we got a drama teacher in our school who was pretty hot. She was 29, and because before that, the drama program honestly was like a place where kids would go and hide out. It was this very counterculture, misfit kind of thing, which that's fine, but they weren't doing productions, they weren't doing shows, and I have two older sisters. I remember my oldest sister as a kid, she's 8 years older than me. I remember her being in like Wizard of Oz, and I remember going to her shows. My mom said I used to watch a videotape of my sister in Wizard of Oz every day. So I guess it was kind of ingrained, and my mom really kind of built that. My mom is very playful, and at my house, all my sisters are playing instruments, and my mom used to read to me in a very theatrical way, so maybe I was always into it. Mary Martin's Peter Pan was something I watched all the time. I remember the commercials because we taped it from when it was on TV. I remember the peanut butter commercials. So, but then, yeah, my junior year, I did all the plays. I was the lead in all the plays. And then by my senior year, someone said, oh, you should look at this. And I auditioned for colleges and got into NYU and, stuck it out and did 4 years there. And said I just need to get an audition. I just want to get in a room. And then I got lucky. One of my first auditions was Rabbit Hole. And, from there, it's been pretty good. Been able to audition consistently and not have to get like another job or anything, so.
And what did you study at NYU? Was there a particular kind of acting?
Theater.
Was there a particular?
No, I did Strasberg for the first 2 years, and then I switched. They had a film and television acting program called Stone Street, and most of the theater kids do like 3 years in their studio, and then they would do like maybe a semester in film and TV. That was kind of like the bastard. Like you wouldn't do that because I wasn't. We're doing Chekhov down here. You're doing like I remember I had a soap opera acting class. People were like, what? Like it's 3 camera. It's pretty cool. Like it's it's useful. And then but I did 2 years there. I used my extra electives to do the film and television acting. So.
And what about you, Shailene? When did you first realize you wanted to be an actor?
I didn't know I wanted to be. I was 5, and it was sort of this random opportunity. It happened by accident. I was in these daycare lessons, and we were putting on like a play, and the teacher's friend was an agent, and I was like, oh, we'd love to. We were living in Palmdale, which if anyone knows where Palmdale is, it's not LA, which makes it even better. But yeah, an agent called my mom, was like, I'd love to represent Shay, and my mom was like, who the fuck are you? What's an agent? What's going on? And my mom was like, is this something you want to do? And I was like, sure. But at 5, you don't know if it's gymnastics or soccer, acting. It's all the same. And yeah, I auditioned thousands and thousands and thousands of times and got told no thousands and thousands of times and feel so grateful for it. I had a very, very, very slow progression. I did commercials and then small co-star roles on TV and then guest star roles on TV and then a movie of the week and then the daughter of this person and then a TV show, and then The Descendants, and so it's been very, very, very slow, which I'm very grateful
Not anymore.
for.
Spider-Man, Divergent. How many commercials have you done?
I did a lot of commercials.
How many commercials have you done? Because I feel like you've told me at some point.
I thought it
like
was
I've been
60.
around for a long time.
I thought it was 60. It was only 40. My mom recently went through a box and counted them, but I did 4 McDonald's commercials as a kid.
Shay was so cute as a kid. You got it.
So silly.
Do you feel like your acting school was on the job and you were learning as you went, working on all these different productions?
I didn't feel that way until really the past year when I'd be on a film set and I know that I noticed things that I think have just sort of been ingrained also from being on TV for a long time. I think you notice things like lighting, you notice things like where the camera is and where the camera position is, and so you sort of learn to cheat your body almost subconsciously while you're acting, and that was something that I thought was pretty cool that I didn't know that I did until someone pointed it out to me. But growing up, I did a lot of acting classes, but I would do it for a year and then take a year off and do it again and take a year off, or take 2 years off and then do it for a few months.
So we're going to end with one of our many amazing questions from the audience. And this question is, what is the one thing you now know that you wish you knew when you started? Or at least earlier in your career?
Oh, not the movie, acting.
Yes. Colleen, you stumped him.
Something we know now that we wish we knew.
Earlier.
Whether it's business acting, so you have a room of actors here, so.
Sure.
Politics. There's a lot of politics in this industry.
There's a movie that I was going to do this past fall, which I didn't end up doing because I'm here right now. And they said, I was like, okay, well, I had the lead, and they said there's this girl that plays your girlfriend in it, and so we want you to be really involved. I was like, cool, I would love to read with a lot of girls, and I just want somebody I have the most chemistry with, because I worked with Shay. I was like, I realized how important that was, even though at the time I didn't know Shailene at all, and we've kind of found our chemistry. But so all right, and then a couple weeks later, yeah, we're really we're not gonna have you read with anybody. There's really 2 girls who can get this movie made, and that's what you hear a lot of the time. It's like, who can get this movie made? And yeah, so then they're like, oh, really, it's just this one chick. So, and that's kind of why I backed out at the end. But yes, that's something. I used to be so I'm still concentrated when I'm on a set. But I remember when I first started out, I was just so going through my actors checklist of things I have to do before a scene, and I was not as loose. And I think the looser you are, the better. And I think you really just need to trust the people that you're working with, and have fun. I literally think making films is is the best job in the world. And I used to be so in my head about what I had to do in the scenes that I couldn't appreciate that. And I think once you can really kind of enjoy it, I think it just plays into anything that you're doing. So
I would love to go back to what you were saying in terms of politics, Shailene. Obviously, it's something we're all aware of.
This is all recorded, so be careful what you say.
I mean, it's just
anything
what
you
Miles
say
said
can
as far
and
as politics. Just what sort of riding on what you said of who can get a movie made, or even positioning. It's so interesting now how people will say oh, well, now that you've done this, you should do this so that you can get A, B, and C done, and that feels violating and sort of disgusting to the craft of what acting actually is, and it takes away from the art of it, and you start examining it, and you also feel like people are positioning you to not only help them out but to help you out, but then you think about it and you're like, this doesn't feel right for what my passion is truly for, and so that's what I know now that I didn't know. Wait, that was a question, right? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm so tired. That's what I know now that I wish I had known. Just as far as I'm very lucky to have an amazing team who's very supportive and understands who I am, but it's really hard to see other people who don't necessarily have people around them that they trust sort of falling into this line of things that it can become a machine, and that's when it feels really sad for what acting actually is.
And I also love my team. Is that the camera?
Well, on that note, thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you, Shailene. Thank you, Miles. And have a wonderful night.
Thank you.